Well, let's continue our coverage with Tracy Hutchins, Atlanta News First anchor, who is in studio. Tracy, the motorcade and the procession is just minutes away from arriving at the state capitol, and we're going to let you take it from here.
All right, Sean and Blair, thank you. If we can go back to a look right now, a live look at the state capitol, that's where we did see that motorcade just start to roll up. And you know, it's one of those things as you watch this procession coming all the way up Interstate 75, it is hard to think of a time that we hadn't been without President Jimmy Carter. And you're taking a live look once again at the state capitol there on Washington Street in downtown Atlanta. This is an opportunity to honor former President Carter for his years, not just as a state senator, but also as a governor as well, and as, of course, as the 39th president of the United States. Let's take a moment. And as we watch right now, we can see a number of local and state leaders lining up to receive Jack Carter, the eldest son of President and Mrs. Carter. He will be leaving the family vehicle in order to shake hands with all the representatives who are there, including Governor Brian Kemp, his wife and daughters, Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones, along with his wife, Atlanta Mayor Andre Dickens, along with his daughter, Speaker John Burns and his wife, and current General Assembly of Georgia. You can see many of them are gathered behind those dignitaries. And there we see Jack Carter, the eldest son of President and Mrs. Carter. And alongside Jack Carter is Jason Carter, grandson of former President Jimmy Carter, who's been a vigilant spokesperson for the former president, really giving us insight into how the family is doing and how they're handling the loss of former President Carter. And of course, Jack and Jason both receiving a number of hugs from local and state leaders there in front of the state capitol. And this moment, of course, expected to be very brief, as the hearse carrying former President Jimmy Carter is expected to continue on, along with the family as well. And they are in several vehicles behind the former president. And Jack Carter giving a wave to the General Assembly as well. It is really, truly a beautiful day here in Atlanta to honor and remember the legacy of our 39th president. Atlanta News First, Abby Kasuris, who's covered local government here in the metro area and across the state, is there on the ground in front of the Capitol. And Abby, I know a number of people have been out there waiting patiently, waiting for this moment to happen.
Yeah, certainly. There are groups of people who are lining the streets here to be able to be here for this moment. Of course, it's very solemn, and getting to see those dignitaries and those state leaders pay their respects to this family. Even Governor Brian Kemp, you could tell, even on the way out with Jason Carter and Jack Carter, giving them a second shake of the hand, a hug to pay his respects there as well. You can see the honor guard still lining the pathway to the state capitol. Of course, Jimmy Carter creating a legacy here in Georgia, not only during his time as president, but also in the but also here as governor and a state senator as well. they're thanking him for his time that he has served our state and our country. We know that this motorcade, this stop was supposed to be pretty brief, but getting to actually see it in person and see the deep reverence and respect that people have, it definitely has you feeling a lot of emotions, especially as you see on the path there are 5 members who had served the family as state troopers. And we can see the motorcade continuing to carry on here. But they were honored today, those members who were his security detail, making sure that he was always safe. But Carter wanted them to be included in the ceremony because he said that they were essentially like family. And so he wanted to make sure that they're honored today. One of those members is State Representative Bill Hitchens. His son is still the head of State Patrol here in our state. We're hoping to get to talk with him. But you'll get to see the governor, his wife, his daughters, as well as the mayor will be heading towards the Carter Center where Sean and Blair are. They'll also participate in some of those later services, and there'll be dignitaries there as well. A lot of these remaining state lawmakers will stick around here. We hope to get to talk with them about what it means to be a part of this type of ceremony. Beginning to talk to some of them earlier this week. They feel very strongly that now is the time for them to reflect and take up upon Carter's legacy and continue to help our state.
Abby, thank you. We'll let you stay there and have an opportunity to speak with a number of those people who really remember the impact of former President Jimmy Carter. And again, just sitting here thinking, it's hard to imagine a time when we didn't look to former President Carter for all of his efforts, for what he's done here in the country and across our state as well. This is a live camera right now at the Jackson Street Bridge where we're waiting to see the motorcade roll up. And, you know, as we look back on that brief moment there at the state capitol, many forget that Jimmy Carter was a senator, a 2-term senator. He was a 1-term governor because then, of course, he decided to run for president. But during that time, the number of changes he made and really his efforts to work to change and end segregation and racial discrimination here in the South still reverberate today. And we see the lasting impacts of those things today. You know, during his 2 terms in the state Senate, former President Carter became known as being a person who was very tough and an independent operator and really working to end wasteful government practices and, of course, helping repeal laws designed to discourage blacks from voting. You know, he mentioned before that previously one of the reasons he got into politics is so that he could see little kids, young black kids and young white kids go to school together. He wanted to make a difference, and he was able to do that as he ascended to power, not just from state senate, of course, to governor, and of course, then to president as well.